What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ, Bucky, Rhett, back with you. Buck, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I am doing well. I'm not doing as well as my two partners on the podcast because both of you guys have these grins like the cat that ate the canaries. I have on my left, I have the Padres fan who just feels like it's on and popping. You're so excited. You already have the, I won't say champagne because knowing you, you have the sparkling apple cider ready to
Martinelli's. I go get some Martinelli's. Good idea.
You got the Martinelli's ready to just pop the top. And then I got my unbeaten Indiana Hoosier over here who's already.
I didn't know he owned this much Indiana gear. I see all of it now.
Who is already Googling where should I say at possible playoff destinations. So it's a lot right now.
Yeah.
I am so
the good news is, guys, the first round is in Bloomington. So don't worry about it. We're all good. Yeah. First round's in Bloomington. We'll welcome the Crimson Tide to Bloomington, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Oh man, don't be the first Hoosier to say we want Bama. Don't be that guy, Rhett. Don't do that.
That's just the way it's setting up. All right, what do we got? We got some things.
It's time for the lead block presented by T-Mobile. For business, football needs a network willing to go the extra yard. So do you. Go further with T-Mobile for business. And leading things off today, guys, we have breaking news just came down maybe an hour or so ago before we started recording. That is Robert Saleh has been let go as the head coach of the New York Jets. Buck, I'll go to you. I mean, just first immediate reaction. We can get into this.
Man, it's such a weird thing, right? I know that there have been a number of coaches that have been fired after a London trip. I don't know if this was necessarily the time, right? Because like the team starts off, they stumble, then they come back and win two, then they lose two. I don't know if you could say like, hey, Robert Saleh is the problem. The issue that you have though, and I saw Woody Johnson's statement. He talked about expectations and how they had an expectation to be an elite team and those things. I don't know, man. It's too early to tell like who's going to shake out. I mean, we're only a quarter of the way through the season. And so I think Robert Saleh is a victim of expectations. But I will say this. Whenever the team, like you have a game against the Denver Broncos where the team didn't look like it was prepared to deal with inclement weather, and then you go on the road and you have a slow start against the Minnesota Vikings, it just puts him under the spotlight. Like, hey, did you have your team ready to play? And sometimes for an owner, that can be a fireable offense.
Man, yeah, I mean, like Bucky, does this make them a better football team today? I don't know that it does. I still feel like there was certainly a lot of things that didn't go Robert Saleh's way that were probably a little bit out of his control. Starting with the whole Aaron Rodgers, situation. I think there's a lot of people that probably where they are right now. And look, the head coach obviously, gets the hook on that one. Could they have fired Nathaniel Hackett? No, right? I mean, unless you were going to jettison Aaron Rodgers too, right? I mean, like that's a package deal. I mean, like it felt like if they were going to make a move, this is the only one that they could really make. DJ, it's unfortunate as it sounds.
This was the parallel I was looking at this morning, and then in the process of doing that, actually, so I think Chris Sims had tweeted something about this parallel because I wanted to look at this and say, how does this compare to Tampa and Brady? Right? Obviously, the 40-plus quarterback. Long-time success, one place, goes to a new place, and wins a Super Bowl. So obviously the ultimate level of success there when he got to Tampa. And I'm like, okay, there's a lot of things that are similar here, but then there's some differences. Let's start, first of all, they both went to talented rosters. Tampa, when Tom got there, was talented. The Jets are talented. They both brought some buddies with them. You think about Gronk shows up down there in Tampa. They kicked the tires on Antonio Brown, tried to get him in there, who Brady had a relationship with. So you got kind of the buddy thing going on. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the difference? Well, you start, first of all, the coaches. I think Bruce Arians on the offensive side of the ball, and Bruce Arians more of I'll kind of talk down to any of you guys. I don't care if you're the greatest of all time, whoever you are. I'm at top and you're beneath me. And I think maybe from the Jet side of things, I think they might have elevated Aaron ahead to the top. Really, if you could make a case to the top of the organization in terms of the influence and power in direct line to the owner, everything else. I mean, that's just what it looks like from the outside. So that's one difference. And then even that, I mean, you remember there was a lot of frustration with Tom Brady early on there with the Bucs, with how they were doing things.
Yeah, it was not all clean.
I think they were 3-2. I think they were 3-2 after their first 5 games. Not that different from the record here where the Jets find themselves. The other thing that, and it's not a podcast fun topic. It's not a talk radio fun topic. But one of the things I was thinking of that was a little bit odd to me. Like if you're Tom Brady and you're going into the last part of your career, you've been playing in cold weather your whole life. You go down there and play in Tampa. You're playing in great weather in Tampa. Look at their logs of where they played that year. I mean, they're in warm weather. They're in domes. Like I think he had a game against Chicago. It was the game against Chicago somewhat early in the season. Remember when he forgot it was 4th down? Buck, we were doing the Amazon game that night. He didn't know what down it was. But that was like the only like outdoor like tough. Like Aaron Rodgers, you could have gone and played in a dome somewhere. You could have, as an older player, gone to warm weather. Like you're going and playing it with the Jets. And obviously we haven't even got to the messy part of the season, but he already played the monsoon against the Denver Broncos in one game. So I don't know. I just thought like, it's interesting how they both kind of picked the places that they went, some things they had in common, but I think just kind of maybe the presence of the head coach was a little different in each place. And honestly, I just going through, you tell me if I'm crazy, but I'm like, one of the major differences is actually the environment and the weather is actually pretty significantly different from Tampa to the Jets, Buck.
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up because I would say you talk about 2 MVP quarterbacks, Super Bowl winning quarterbacks going to different destinations. I would say it probably illuminates maybe the leadership difference between Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and the connectivity that Tom Brady appeared to have with his teammates in Tampa. And maybe Aaron Rodgers has some of that, but I just think it speaks to their different leadership styles and what they were able to get. But I think it's also important that you're right. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think at one point during that season was they might have been 7-5.
7-5, yeah.
7-5 before
a losing streak.
Yeah. 7-5 before they got it going. And it wasn't just that. It was the friction between Bruce Arians and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Tom Brady wanting maybe a firmer hand when it came to the coach dealing with other players as opposed to what it was. And it took them a while to find that happy medium. That's why I say like a quarter of the season is so hard.
It's an early hook, man. That's an early hook.
And I know Rodgers.
Hey, dude, when he pushed him away, Buck, though, and Rhett, I mean, when they go to hug and push him away, I'm like, I don't know where you go from here.
It's done.
Yeah.
It was done.
And they played it off, right? And tried to, like it was just it was a back and forth thing, kind of an inside thing about something that's, it felt weird, right? The side eye, the whole thing, it felt weird. I'll say this, that, I mean, you were playing on Monday night in week 6 for first place in the AFC East. So you could make the argument that
that's crazy.
You could,
it's true.
You could play that from 2 separate sides of it, right? You're like, all right, Woody Johnson's looking at this and he's like, it's now or like, this is an opportunity for us to turn this thing in a different direction.
Yeah.
Or you're like, all right, like he's got this team able to play for first place in the division in week 6. And despite the fact that the offense has been terrible, right? Since 2021, the Jets offense has averaged 17 points a game. And then you look at the defense, Saleh's specialty over the course of his career there, and they're number 1 in a majority of important categories. So like, that side of it is working, but like the collective part of it, there has been a disconnect. The complementary part of it has been disconnected. Now you could say there's a lot of different circumstances for that. Quarterback missing on Zach Wilson, Rodgers getting hurt, all that plays a part in it. But here they are in week 6 with an opportunity to take control of the division. So let's see if Jeff Ulbrich can get it done, I guess is where we're at on this thing. But does it change the offense? Does it change the way that the offense is playing?
No, I mean, they have no timing, no rhythm whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be impacted by this decision.
Right.
No, I think it also, from an ownership standpoint, everyone has heard great things about Jeff Ulbrich, right? And so if you remove Saleh, you really haven't changed any of the structural stuff that you do. Like they may change the practice schedule a little bit or whatever, but you're still getting the same defense to go with the offense that Aaron Rodgers prefers. And if you believe that Ulbrich can be a viable head coaching candidate, you're giving him a long run to get the job. And so I think it has to be an internal thing where people in the building feel like Jeff Ulbrich has potential as a head coach. And so you want to give him an opportunity to fully take over and take command, because his statement talked about, we believe we have a staff and a team that can win, and we believe that Ulbrich can be the guy to get the best out of them.
And while we're on that topic, I know you guys are going to talk to Jim Nagy coming up this week here, but Jeff Ulbrich was elevated to the head coaching role, in the Senior Bowl. And so, be curious to see what, how that kind of resonated with players and with other, coaches there. Schrager also mentioned that, he was told that Rodgers did not have a significant role in the firing of Robert Saleh. Maybe not directly, but indirectly, the issues with the offense are a big reason why. Because you can't just sit here and pin it. They can't stop anybody. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I would say, if I'm remembering correctly, in the offs, last year was not going well, right? Rodgers gets hurt. Zach Wilson is not. It's not panning out. They're losing a bunch of games. I'm almost positive. I have to go back and look it up. That Aaron Rodgers at one point in time late in the season, or maybe even right at the end of the season, had said, I give full support to Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. Like he came out and staunchly defended them, and they ended up, running it back. So I don't know. Maybe that didn't have any impact on them surviving last year. But I got to believe that when you go out and hire his handpicked offensive coordinator before you trade for him in order to lure him there, it's hard for me to believe that he's just an innocent bystander and has no say-so in anything that goes on.
What does it tell you? And look, DJ, I know you're close with Joe D, but what does it tell you when an owner makes the move? Yeah,
well, first of all, everything gets busy in the football world, and I've known Joe for 20 years, but I haven't talked to Joe since before the draft. So I always leery, because I think anytime I say stuff, people you could talk to every week. I'm like, full transparency. We have not spoken since the draft.
He's got a job to do.
So he's a little busy, but no, I think it came. I believe that it came straight from the owner. And that's his prerogative when he owns the team. And look, this could end up working out great. They win this week, like you said, Rhett. They're in first place. And Woody Johnson will get applause for doing what you felt like needed to be done. You own the team, you get to make those decisions. But I wasn't surprised that it came, from the ownership level this early in the season. That usually is something from the very tippy top.
It's just, I don't know. I can't say, look, you had 3+ years. I just think when your team is close and the defense is playing well, we can't minimize Saleh's contributions to the defense playing well. You remove him from the situation. And even though Ulbrich is the defensive coordinator, when you're the defensive head coach and they're running your system, you have some of the answers to the test when problems arise and those things. And so do you weaken the strength of your team by removing the head coach? And the defense was his baby. So we're just going to see how that plays out.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating when you look at this decision coming at this moment in time. We'll see how the Jets react and respond with a big game coming up on Monday night against the Buffalo Bills. That's a wrap for the Lead Block presented by T-Mobile for Business. Football needs a network willing to go the extra yard. So do you. Go further with T-Mobile for Business. Let's take a quick break. We come back. We'll get into the rookie draft right after this. All right, it's time for a little rookie draft. We can look back. We don't need to spend much time. 4-4-4. A Moses Malone right there. We tied.
I mean, technically I win though, right? Because I was only playing with 2 players.
Well, I mean, that's
maybe read the injury report and not players.
A little preparation on your own.
On Tuesday, there's no injury reports, boys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe later in the week when you see an injury report, you try and get yourself a new guy in the lineup.
That's fair. All right, fine.
Be proactive in this thing. Let's not be excuse makers. Let's find solutions. Let's not identify the problems. Let's find solutions here. Congratulations, Rhett. You got the first pick.
I do, and this is an interesting one because now we have 2 quarterbacks that you can kind of fight over, because I won the quarterback battle last week with Caleb Williams. And not as the number 1 pick. And Caleb's been playing some good ball, and he's got the Jaguars, Bucky, coming into Soldier Field. Whereas the Commanders and Jaden Daniels are going into Baltimore, right? And taking on a defense that just gave up, 38 points to Joe Burrow. Although I can't imagine that happening in back-to-back weeks.
You're really waffling here on this decision.
Give me Caleb. Let's go, Caleb. At number 1. Come on.
All right. I'm not going to spend much time going second. I'll take Jaden Daniels with the second one. It's a short trip. Short trip over there at Baltimore.
Wow.
Go ahead, Buck. You got back-to-backers.
Okay, back to back. Well, I mean, since the quarterback thing has been decided for me, I'm going to take two weapons. And so
Okay.
let's take Brian Thomas Jr. just because he's a
Going
Jaguar.
back 3 in a row.
I want to make sure I give him his proper respect. But then let's go with Marvin Harrison Jr. At some point, we got to get him involved. We got to feed him. So we got to find a way to get him involved. So let's go with him. So back to back, two big wideouts.
I'm gonna go Malik Neighbors, and I will be texting you, Nabil, if I get word later on in the week. But I'm gonna go.
What does that mean? What does it mean if you text?
If he's out, then I get to add somebody that's free agent.
Yeah, domino laid is a domino played.
No, that is not the rules.
What are you doing?
Not the rules.
Hey,
love
the inactive list and all this other stuff. Like we got to lock this thing at some point, like fantasy football. We lock it. We got to lock it.
He's gonna be fine. I feel confident I'll win this week, even if he doesn't play. Go ahead. I feel great. You just gave me Jaden Daniels with the second pick. Go ahead.
I feel good about it.
You're doubling up here.
Yeah, I know this.
God, you want to take Tyrone Tracy so bad. I can just see it.
But
it's the Indiana Purdue thing that you're fighting that.
Tough. And it's like, is Singletary coming back this week? That we don't know. Oh boy, I already got burned once by trying to take Braylon Allen. All right. One thing I know I'm going to do is take Brock Bowers.
Oh, so that was my pick.
Go ahead and lock that up. Give me Brock at 6. And then, that Broncos defense has been good. I was thinking Ladd McConkey. Let's go back to the well here. Let's go Bucky Irving for the Bucks. Give me Bucky Irving coming after the Saints down in New Orleans.
All right, this is what I'm going to love. I'm going to love that Rhett's going to be sitting there on game day live. He's going to be watching Caleb Williams just chuck it, Buck. It's going to be like a 60, maybe 62-yard touchdown. He's going to pop out of his seat, and then he's going to realize he just threw it to Roma Dunze, who I'm taking right here, and it's just going to just bring the whole vibe.
All right. Rome has not been picked a lot lately.
Yeah, I'm going Rome. Get a little Rome action here. What you got, Buck? You're last up.
Bo Nix. Lock it up.
I mean, that's easy. I'm just going to go with the winner. I'm going to go to the guy who has led it.
Unfortunately, you don't get
fantasy points for the win, dude. I appreciate the effort.
But this is the week. Maybe we can get a couple quarterback sneaks. Maybe we can get a little play action pass inside the 5. Something kind of get us going.
What is the season totals here? Is Buck still in first place? Yeah, Bucky has got 24. I've got 21. Rhett's got 15. So Buck's just trying to go wire to wire, it feels like, this year. He's been a stranglehold on the top spot.
Hey, Deej, who are the Broncos going to put Pat Surtain on? They're going to put him on Ladd? They're going to move him out on Palmer? What are they going to do? They're putting him on the top receiver everywhere he goes.
Better put him in the box.
Yeah, that's right.
Put him on J.K. Dobbins coming downhill about 50 times.
That's right. You're ready for it.
Right. So I'm interested to see how they are health-wise, Charger-wise.
Coming off the bye.
Yeah, get off the bye, see who they can get back. Joe Alt's hurt. Slater's hurt. Everyone was suspended, so you get him back. And a couple other injuries too. They've been hit pretty hard.
That's an interesting matchup in the late window. I mean, truly, with the way the Broncos played.
Real quick, I've never asked Buck this. Bye weeks, Buck, as a player, what was your perfect time for that?
Perfect was right in the middle of the season, and this was before the new rules where they had to give him mandatory days. But I just remember. It was controversial when it happened, but playing in Green Bay, Mike Holmgren gave everybody the entire week off. And so I just remember he being like, hey, get out the building. See you on Sunday. And so to leave from a Monday to Sunday, look, that's a great bye week. Like now, Andy.
Where'd you go?
I just went to North Carolina. It wasn't a big deal, but it's a pretty cool thing to think, hey, my coach gave me the week off. We're out of the building. We're just going to hang out and come back and recharge. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something to be said for getting away from the game and just kind of coming back and getting back right the next week.
Yeah. By the way, I do want to remind everybody we will have Jim Nagy coming up as Rhett teased. He'll be on tomorrow's episode from the Reese's Senior Bowl.
Professional host.
Yeah, professional. How many years in the business?
I think I've lost count now. So,
so Jim's going to be coming up. Also, we have a chance a little bit later on the week. We'll jump into some college stuff because we'll talk to some of these top players, not only with Jim.
Give me a call.
This is a huge weekend of college football. What game do you have, by the way, Rhett? Where are you headed this week?
We got a home game this week. So I was at USC Minnesota, right,
Yeah.
for the upset last week, and then we get Minnesota again this week, trying to ride that emotional high into the Rose Bowl to take on UCLA. Tough one. UCLA offensive line is tough to watch right now.
USC's offensive line is not much better.
Yeah.
That's the issues as they go into.
Got to get that going.
All right, we're gonna cut loose here. Appreciate you guys hanging with us. We will see you next time right here on Move the Sticks.